Hey everyone, I wanted to record a quick video to go along with an answer that I'm about to post to this Bentley Communities Forum question, which is whether it's possible to create a dimension style that looks like this, where you have a divider line between the first and second lines of text that goes to your leader and then whatever terminator. There was a bit of a workaround where you could use a left margin to sort of get something that works, but you have to adjust the left margin and the inline leader length based on how long your text is. So I was trying to figure out if there is a way to get something that works no matter how many lines of text you have or no matter um, how long the individual lines are. And I think I've got something that works. So I'm gonna go into MicroStation and V8i here, and we'll go through this pretty quickly. So the first thing is to create a dimension style for a note that's going to have a frame. So we're going to go into the place note command, but we're actually going to place a call out, and that call out is going to have a border. The border needs to be something that's not going to print, so you can set it to color BG. You can also set it to another color as long as you're consistent, and just choose not to print that in your pen table. So as far as the important settings, text frame box, left margin 1, lower margin needs to be equal to 1/2 of your line spacing. So in this case, we use 0.5 line spacing, so our lower margin is going to be 0.25. And then again, for the symbology, for the dimension lines here, I want the color to be background, so this isn't going to print. You can also set it to 143 or 135 or 68 or whatever, and just set a clause in your pen table to change that color to not print. But for now, maybe it'll be easier to see if I do one of these. So I'll just do 95. Should be fine. Maybe I'll do a yellow. Yeah, let's do 124. Okay, I'll save that. And then our placement settings, this is the active level here. So scroll up to the top of the list, pick the one in parentheses, click override level symbology, and I think that's all that really matters. And then we'll have another dimension style that defines how our leader with the arrowhead's going to look. So in this case, the geometry, I just have a filled arrow that's a little bit oblong, and that's really all I needed to do here. I just needed something to control how this arrowhead looked. So we're going to do this in 2 steps. First step, go replace the cell later. First step is going to be to place the callout. So we'll do the A2 text style MFT48 and then note with frame. Yep. And then we'll just say line. Oh, it's important to start this on the default level. I should have done that. That way things will come in. When you change this to a cell, it should match your active level settings. So there we go, default. Okay, try that again. Line 1, line 2. And I meant to do a call out. There we go, now it's call out. So you can see that border is going to print differently to the rest of it. And then you just need to be consistent about this and make sure that it doesn't print. Second thing is to place a dimension. Or place note, and then you got the actual note option, not the call out, and select association. If association isn't available, you'll need to run this key in, which is lock association on. So once I do that, we're just going to draw an arrow out here in space using our leader with arrow dimension style. There we go. And I set location to manual. That lets me give it this elbow here. And then all we need to do is snap this to the midpoint. So midpoint, midpoint, and we're good to go. So if I had extra length on this second line, because our dimension here is snapped to the midpoint of these 2 vertical lines, it's going to stretch accordingly. And you should also be able to mirror this. So mirror it, make a copy, don't mirror text. And the only thing here is that it is left justified, which maybe isn't what we want. So it's possible that there's a way to force this to be left justified. Let me look at my text style really quick. Yeah, so I think when you mirror it, it is going to mirror your justification. So if you didn't want to do that, you would go in here and just change these around. Takes a little bit of work, but it's not too bad. And then again, it'll stretch and shrink according to your longest line. So it looks sort of like the En-ROADS notes or the OpenRoads civil labeler notes that have that bottom line 1 divider line option. There we go. And you can extend these to be more than 2 lines. The only thing you'll have to adjust is the attachment point for your leader. Oops, not sure what happened there. Can't type today. Okay, so now we're snapping to the midpoint. That's not what we want to do. We actually want to snap to the upper third. So in that case, you'll change your key point snap divisor to 3. It's already set there. Key point snap active and snap, snap. And we could do the same thing for 4 lines. Okay, change the snap divisor to 4. Point it here, point it here. Same thing. And then of course you can make cells out of all of these. So we'll just make cells out of a couple of them. Set the origin. Open my cells dialog. I'm going to delete these that I already created, but these are the same. And we will create, and I'll just say 2 line left. And let's do it again for this one down here. And we would call this one 4 line right. So now if I change my active level settings to anything else, and I place that cell that I just created, the text and the leader come in on your active level settings. So all you need to do to get this to work is to drop it after you place it, drop complex only, and you're good to go. And the same thing would apply for this other one. There you go, and you will just have to drop complex here. If you want to, you can add an additional leader to these. So I would just go back into your place note command, do leader with arrow, location automatic, I think is what we want, and then just make sure this piece gets associated. And you're good to go. And you can also run the change dimension command and change it to a different dimension style and change it back if you need to. You can even change just one if you have some reason. So if you have a bunch of dimension styles, one with a filled arrow or an open arrow or a closed dot or anything like that, it should work. So the other option when you're doing this in your dimension style is to adjust this note with frame to print color BG. There we go. So it doesn't affect the ones that we just placed because those have the old dimension style, but there's still a frame here. It's a little harder to snap to, so it depends on how comfortable your users are. But if I was to delete these and just create this one again, because I've already got it selected, why isn't it giving me the option to create? There we go. There we go. And you can still adjust this. So if you only needed 3 lines or you needed 5 lines, you just need to change where your snap is. So snap divisor needs to be 3. And we snap here and here. You just have to have an idea about where this border frame is. But yeah, I hope this helps someone. I've been working on it for quite some time, so I am reasonably happy with how it's working. And again, because this was done with just regular MicroStation tools and using the built-in dimension associations, this should hold for really any instances of OpenRoads. Whereas there are ways to accomplish the same thing with the civil labeler by breaking it in a very specific way, but that doesn't propagate back down to MicroStation. So yeah, I hope this helps. That's all I got for today. So Any questions, feel free to post it in the comments or just reply to that connect the Bentley forum post. So, okay, thank you. Bye.